This video is an introduction to the Scratch programming interface. Now the Scratch programming interface, whether you're online or using the desktop version, is exactly the same. Now the premise behind Scratch, as I say, is a good learning tool for programming, and it uses sprites, which are little pictures, and we put code or program these little sprites in order to have them move and interact with each other, so we can build a variety of different games or applications with this particular interface. Now down here you'll notice our sprite. Our sprite has a name. We're going to load a bunch of other sprites in here, but it gives us a little information about the sprite right above it, such as its name. We can change that name. Sprite 1 is a terrible name. We'll never leave our sprites like that. It gives us its location. Now that location is relative to where things are on the stage. You'll notice right now the location says 0, 0, that is x0, y0, and you'll notice it has a horizontal and a vertical arrow, showing you that x is along this axis here, along the horizontal axis, and y is along the vertical axis. And 0, 0 is the center of our stage, which is the center of our screen. You'll also notice that same sprite shows up here, and this here's our code editor window where we can do our coding. And this little sprite in the corner just goes to show that when we put code right now, we will be coding for this particular sprite right here. Back down in the sprite window, you notice we have a size. It's at 100% right there. We could change it in this window. We can also change it through code. And we have a direction it's facing to 90 degrees. Now that 90 degrees is relative to the rest of the screen, as if 0 is the very top, 90 is to the right, 180 is down at the bottom, and 270 is to the left. That's going to be really important when we program movement. Over here on the far left hand side of the screen is our blocks window, and these are all of our different coding blocks, and they're all color coded, and there's lots of different ones that you can scroll through. There's not just those that you can scroll through, but you can also shortcut to them by hitting these different colors, and it's nice that they're really color coded. I'm going to show you how easy it is to program a sprite in this particular program. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to events, which is kind of the yellow or goldy type blocks, and we're going to bring in this one here, a when flag is clicked. So these are a lot of starting blocks. These are things that are going to kickstart code. These are known as the event blocks. So when an event happens, the code starts, and you'll notice that this flag is also located right over here, is this flag. And then what we're going to do is just get our sprite to move, and I'm going to come over here to motion, and we're going to grab move 10 steps. Now that is fantastic. I can now get this sprite to move 10 steps. I can click on it here and our sprite moves. I can click on the flag up here and the sprite moves, or I could click on that sprite. Actually, it's not going to work because I don't have it to click on the sprite. I just have it when the flag. So I click here, it moves. Now, what are those 10 steps? Well, those 10 steps are not 10 human steps. Those 10 steps are 10 steps across this stage. Now, in order to understand the relativity of those 10 steps, we need to know how big the stage is. The stage is 480 pixels wide. Now pixels are little individual divisions of your screen. Now if it's 480 wide and our sprite sits at 0, 0 and 0, 0 is in the middle, I'll show you right here. I'll put them back to 0, 0. We put them back to 0, 0. If the screen is 480 wide, that means over here is pixel 240 on the stage. And that means back here is pixel negative 240. So from negative 240 to 240 makes 480. The screen is 360 pixels high. So if this is 0, 0, to go to the top of the screen, I'll show you. If I type in 100, and oops, that's the wrong one. I'll just put that as 0. If I want to go to the top of the screen, I plug in 180. Oops, 180. He jumps to the top of the screen. If I put in negative 180, he goes to the bottom of the screen. And those are your maximum ranges. So from negative 180 to 180, the difference is 360 pixels. And I'll just show you that. I did not show you that with the x-axis. So x-axis 240 takes us to that side. Negative 240 takes us to the other side. And you notice he doesn't fully disappear. That's because he's measured from the middle of his sprite. And I'll just put it back at 0, 0. So moving them, really quite simple. Coding, really quite simple. And in our next little video, what we're going to do is actually start making a little video game. Now that we've seen some of the basics, that we have sprites, the sprites move, we grab code from this window here and we drag it into the code editor window. One thing I could mention, if you want to get rid of a piece of code, all you have to do is drag it back here and it will disappear.